Good afternoon, everyone. Rice prices screaming stratospheric highs. Vietnam halted overseas shipments a few months back. Now they're reducing all tariff on imports of agricultural products. What do they know that we don't? Bicycles disappearing from Walmart. Media is already preparing you for more food shortages, dairy, fruit, and vegetables, more plant closures. During a recent vote, the U.S. Senate has agreed to give law enforcement agencies access to web browsing history data without needing to obtain a warrant first. USA Freedom Resolution Act of 2020, H.R. 6172, failed by a single vote on the Senate floor. This is why it's more important than ever to browse the web using a VPN or virtual private network. You can head over to virtualshield.com and in the download tab, I'm going to choose Firefox and click Install Now to add the Virtual Shield add-on. It's just that easy. And get started with your free 30-day trial. Install it, click Connect. You'll see the shield turn from red to green, and you'll see how from my initial service provider I was able to even change my IP. Virtual Shield Network protected. And during the month of June, Virtual Shield wants to offer 50% off all VPN plans because more of us than ever are working from our homes. The link's in the description box below. And if you haven't noticed by now, your food has increased. That vertical line on the right side of the chart, that's the last few months of our lives. Price index for meat, poultry, fish, and eggs is going to continue skyward. And if you noticed across the headline landscape, you're going to see food shortage, more processing facilities locked down, and second waves inbound. So the message being given for those listening, you might want to start growing some of your own food, working with your neighbors at this time. More hands make easier work, and you can combine your skill sets. Because a gauge of rice prices across Asia, Thai rice up and up. Global rice prices vertical. So a microcosm of what's happening with food supplies globally is now there are countries that are stopping exports. And we saw this with wheat in Kazakhstan. And now we see rice being halted here out of Vietnam. This was back in March. So we're going to do the progression forward here. After the rice prices started to go up significantly, Vietnam was smart enough to say, well, if we send away our food, we're going to have problems internally as prices increase. They're going to look at the government and say, hey, there's a huge problem here. So with the halting of exports, fast forward to today, Vietnam reduces tariffs on wheat and other agricultural products, meaning they're going to bring as much in as they can because that government there knows there's a huge shift going on with the ability to grow food. So the big announcement was about wheat, of course. And this was all rooted in a change with the most favored nation tariff rates because wheat makes the world go round. So in addition to the news-catching headline of reductions on wheat tariffs inbound to zero, also they're going to reduce tariffs on milk, dairy products, fresh apples, grapes, dried grapes, raisins, frozen potatoes, almonds, walnuts, pork, ethanol, and there's another smaller list slated for July to add to this. Because it does seem that there's a breakdown in supply chains, manufacturing, and delivery coming out of Asia, with Walmart being the canary in the coal mine, if you will. No adult bikes for weeks because there's no resupply coming from China. But if you do notice across store shelves, you'll start to see gaps of things that were manufactured in China mainly and brought overseas. There's just been no replenishment of that. And looking at the current political landscape, it looks like that's going to continue for some time. Now, Christian over at Ice Age Farmer put out this video just a couple days back talking about how massive food runs are going on in China due to the citizens understanding that there's going to be very little wheat production this year. Panic buying of wheat across the central wheat belt in China in Heirloom province. This flips right back to Vietnam already knew. That's why they put the zero tariffs on wheat inbound. China missed their planting dates because of their lockdowns, and now it is game on for massive inflation in our food. Now, jumping over to Zero Hedge, they're consolidating information on what's called the second wave. And we know that the meat plants were all shuttered during wave 1. The reopening has occurred now. Media is saying, hey, wave 2 inbound, get ready for it. But they're also giving you a list of other things that are going to be closed this time during Wave 2. This includes bakers, dairy workers, fruit and vegetable packers. So consider how much of your food is meat, dairy, fruit, and veg, along with bread. You're going to get a good indication where the food shortages are going to be and how much extra you're going to need to pay for your life moving forward. Now, the wild card in all of this is a third of renting Americans are worried about making the next payment as recovery hopes fade. Survey showing 11% of households with mortgages skipped servicing payments or paying the payment, and 16% said they won't be able to make the payments in the future. So that's almost 20% of all households in America say we can't pay our mortgages anymore. What's that going to do with the banking system? That's why you can see a currency reset coming in the future here. But move that back to the shortage of bicycles in Walmart, because maybe these giant corporations know something we don't. Maybe they're given advanced information because those households that can't afford their mortgage payments or rent are going to reduce their spending on non-housing goods and services in order to make rent or mortgage payments, meaning they're not going to be buying those bicycles out of Walmart. So maybe Walmart said, let's do a cost analysis. If 20% of Americans don't buy anything new in terms of throwaway dispendable money in our stores, maybe we should stop carrying items that people used to buy. We can blame it on the embargo from China, but in reality, they understand the higher food prices, the non-payment in rent and mortgages, and how people are going to shift their spending in straight into food and paying their utilities and their internet bills. And as you churn that through your mind, I want to leave you with some beauty here out of Yorkshire. And a real question to ask, as people get hungry and they can't afford food, do you think they would steal a sheep out of the fields there? Because my understanding from the modern minimum in the 1600s, the reason they put stone walls around the animals because they were so valuable that they didn't want them to escape, but they could also protect against bandits taking the animals out in the middle of the night. This is ADAPT 2030 Grand Solar Minimum approved climate, economy, and history. Join me over on Patreon /ADAPT 2030 as I go a little deeper into the issues that I can't talk about here on YouTube. I thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and I'll see you next time.